This is episode 90 of the Out of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and we've got a deadly serious, hyper competitive game for you today.
Yes, or we don't. We've actually taken a bit of a break today because Sam and I were having a discussion about ships while we were playing at club night, and I think it stemmed from me turning around and going, would it be OP if I could, or was it, I wish I could take 3 Decimators?
Yeah. And then I said, well, tell you what, you can have 3 Decimators if I can have 4 Sith Infiltrators.
So, that's what
So
we've
here we
got
are.
for you, yes. We are having a quick match to see would either of those lists be OP. So
Now, we've made it vaguely realistic. You know, it's not Rak, Oikun, and Morna versus
yeah.
Dooku, Maul, 066, and I guess a Dark Courier because I'd run out of pilots at that point. This is 3 patrol leaders versus 4 Dark Couriers because those are the pilots that would potentially get the points reduction, so would be the ones that could potentially be used. Maybe I could have made an argument for 066, but I figured I just kept it to the Dark Couriers.
So, to that note, I've brought 3 patrol leaders, who we are assuming 6 points each. And then, because I would have 2 points left over, an Academy TIE pilot, the I-1 generic. We've kept loadout the same to just see how it is as it is, I suppose.
To make list building not crazy, because I don't know how they work out loadout as cost. So.
Exactly. So the patrol leader has 12 loadout. And so to that extent, the red patrol leader has 5th brother gunner. The yellow patrol leader has 7th sister crew and agile gunner. And the patrol leader in green has delay fuses, proton bombs, and the child.
Yeah, so basically a bunch of Force users.
Yeah, because Imperials.
Yay, Imperials. So on my side, I have 4 identical Dark Couriers who we assumed were all going to be 5 points, and they all have thermal detonators, ablative plating, and jamming beam.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the ablative plating. It's nice. It's you don't see it, and
well, because I wanted the thermals just to litter the place with bombs. I had 4 points left over for a mod, and I was like, I could go delayed fuses, but like I'm not going to use a cannon because if I go a 1 point mod, I have 3 points left, and that's like. So I'm still on track to beam. So I was like, you know what, ablative plating, because I'm running 4 large bases. So if I'm going to bring 3 Pride of Mandalore rocks because that's just what I do. So I'm likely to just run through rocks. And also there's going to be loads of bombs everywhere. If I can just reduce damage from my own bombs whilst damaging you, even better.
Yeah. So we are playing Assault at the Satellite Array. Because we didn't want to just play Chance and Joust, so we rolled the dice until Chance didn't come up.
Yeah. So we played Assault at the Satellite Array and jousted.
Sort of. I mean, to be fair, technically the scenario favours you, but not a huge amount.
You know, technically yes, but actually also no, because it's actually quite like we can both get 2 of our large bases into tight areas that can contest multiple things, but it's quite hard to get 3, and so you're having the Academy type pilot breaks the tie quite often, I feel.
Yeah, that's true. So scenario setup. Basically, we have 3 running down the centre line, and then 2 on the right hand side, 1 on the centre line up towards on Sam's board edge as far up as you can get it, and 1 on my board edge a little further, basically range 2 from the rest of them, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice little square.
So basically we have a cluster of 4 relatively close to each other. You can't contest all 4 of them at the same time, but you can generally contest 3 with 1 ship.
And then obstacles. Obviously, Sam's brought the 3 Pride of Mandalores. I've brought 2 large rocks and a gas cloud. Now, I will freely admit a small part of that is because I knew I was flying against 4 infiltrators. I think realistically, you'd probably end up bringing small rocks.
Yeah.
But I think it hampers me as much as it hampers you, so.
And essentially, we end up with the 5 asteroids all clustered around the center amongst the objectives, and then I put the gas cloud last, basically. No, not last, like second to last. I basically ditch it in the far corner just to get out, get rid of it.
The rocks effectively make a circle just skirting over what would be the left-hand side of the center objective to bring them down towards the other objectives, trying to stop us getting large bases in between all of them.
Yeah.
We obviously rolled off, and I was first player for turn 0, which means I set up my entire list before Sam, because obviously I have the I1, and then the rest of us are all I2s. And on that note, actually, I had some interesting choices with the tie, because I could have brought the I1, the I2, or the I3. And it's basically, do you want a blocker, do you want an initiative match, or do you want technically an ace? But I felt,
and
sorry,
I think taking the I3 as the ace is more of a meme, because obviously if it's not exactly this matchup, it's not an ace.
Exactly what I was about to say. It's why I shied against it. And let's be fair, even against this matchup, it's a TIE fighter. There's not much arc dodging and acing you can do. I did start off with the I2 to initiative match, but then I felt, well, when I'm only moving one ship first and it's a TIE fighter compared to Decimators, I should be able to keep it out of the way so I'm not bumping myself. I knew I was flying against all I2s, but also, just in the grand scheme of things, having an I1 blocker. Like, initiatives are higher in general these days. So yeah, I felt having a blocker was probably the better way to go. And to that extent, I set up the TIE fighter just to the right of centre, to the right of the Pride of Mandalore rock that's near the bottom objective. And then I set up the 3 Decimators running out towards the board edge from there and invite a joust.
Yep. So I deployed 2 of my infiltrators facing along my board edge, with the idea being they can one hard to turn in, because I wanted to delay the joust as much as possible if I could.
We should note
because my other 2 infiltrators are placed further to the right. The idea being they're going to swing up and then they can turn into the center, and we can have a great big fight. The child tokens, the merciless pursuit tokens, I put on the 2 infiltrators that are going to essentially joust the Decimators.
Yeah, that was the bit I was just going to note. Which is fine. I've got to accept that you're going to get good shots. That's the price of having the child.
Yeah.
But also 7 points, 2 force. And I'm going to take damage. I'm going to recharge that force back, so...
Yeah, like, you're not going to not take damage. It's just, like, not possible on a Decimator.
Exactly. So, we roll off for turn 1, and Sam is first player. But my little Academy Tower goes first, and he 5 straights, which basically means he can't really turn to the right very well, because there's a rock in the way, but I'm going to have, like, Decimators there. It's not really an issue. But it does give him options for the next turn, depending on where the 2 infiltrators that you've set up away from my list turn. I've got lanes to get in, blocking turn 3.
Yeah.
And then your infiltrators go.
Yeah, so the 2 guys on the right, they do 4 straights and they focus, and the 2 guys on the left, they 1 hard, get a stress, and that's all they can do.
So red does a 2 hard to the left, because my thoughts when setting him up there were, I wasn't sure where you were going to set up, but if you'd set up all for 1 joust, then I thought having a a Decimator that ends up basically broadsiding and claiming the objectives away from that would be good. But also, if you don't, having one that's contesting you so that you need to get both your large bases within range 1 as opposed to one of them would be a bonus. So yeah, he 2 halves to the left, and I take a reinforce to the front. And then the other 2 do a 2 straight, and I'm guessing both reinforce to the front, because I didn't want to go too fast, because I need my options open for the next turn, basically.
This is where initiative really matters here.
Yeah.
So I basically no, my plan is that I'm basically going to turn in and like be a bit cagey with the Decimators and because I want 3 to 4 of my infiltrators fighting 2 of your Decimators, and I can afford to let your guy post around the outside as long as it's not costing me too much. But I've got to get in there, and I've got to time my engage so I have as much shooting on one target as possible.
Yeah. So I did a 4 straight with the Academy tie, and then barrel rolled him to the right between some rocks, because I was hoping that would just poke his base into Yellow's base. So, if you'd jumped forward, like even a 3 straight, that might be enough to... I was hoping it would be enough to catch it. You know, just trying to get that sneaky block in if I can. If not, there's a tie there. If you want to shoot my 2-point tie when there are 2 Decimators behind him, feel free. So
yeah, pretty much.
I should note Sam is first player for this turn.
Yeah. So my courier on the inside pair on the right does a 2 hard into the center and takes a focus. The one on the far side outside does a 3 bank to the left, because obviously I didn't want to turn in behind him and basically start conga lining, and just takes a focus because now that your red Decimator's heading out that way, we can have a 1v1. I don't think that really favors any of us. Like a 1v1, it favors you-ish.
I disagree, but we'll talk about that at the end, because at the time I wouldn't have disagreed. I think this game actually points some of those things out, and we did discuss it, and we'll get to that.
So I just do 1 straights with the other 2 and focus.
So I do a 1 bank with the red Decimator, and so if I was flying against any other list, these Decimators would reinforce a hell of a lot, because you want to keep the points. They're 16 health. If you reinforce, if you take another 4 shots, that's 20 health. But the flip side of that is I'm flying against 4 large base ships that have 1 agility, and I've got force crew on all of them. So I take a target lock onto the one that is facing me, because I feel like this, like the reinforce is going to be good, but I feel like this is a damage race, and lock force, always good. And then I do a 2 straight with the other 2, and they both lock the yellow infiltrator.
And then we start the shooting.
We go shooting.
So my far right infiltrator shoots range 2 into the Decimator, and I roll hit crit blank.
So that's 2 shields.
My Decimator that turned in rolls range 3 obstructed into the yellow Decimator, and I roll 3 hits after a focus, I believe.
Yep. I roll 1 evade, so 2 shields.
And then everyone just starts shooting the yellow Decimator. Range 3, so I get 2 hits and a blank with one of my infiltrators.
I roll a focus, so I spend the force. Take another shield.
And then I've committed, so hell yeah, again, 2 hits and a blank with the last infiltrator.
1 focus, so that's shields gone and a damage through. But now I start shooting back. So red goes range 2 into blue. I roll crit blank focus. I spend the lock on the blank focus to re-roll into 2 blanks. So going real aggressive there. But it goes through.
But I roll a blank. Yep.
Green goes into yellow at range 3. Rolls focus hit crit, spends a force for 2 and a crit.
I roll focus evade, so I spend my focus and take 1 damage.
And then yellow goes in range 3, rolls hit crit out of hand.
And I roll evade blank, so 2 more damage onto the infiltrator.
And then the TIE Fighter has a range 2 shot, rolls 1 hit, which you dodge.
And I roll an evade. Happy days. And then, unfortunately for me, I'm just out of range to start contesting that side thing. But I also don't think it would have mattered because you have
the TIE
effectively 5. You have 5 ships. Like the TIE breaks the tiebreaker, so you get 3 objectives to my 1.
Yes.
I'm currently holding the center with my infiltrator. And here is the turn where basically I make a mistake by miscalling what you're going to do, and the nature of my list means it basically costs me a lot more than it would have cost you, for example,
Yes.
I feel. Because I think that your tie was turning in to try and block me, so I take measures to counteract that.
Yeah. We should point out that you actually end up getting first player, I think, a reasonable amount in this game, which when we're almost completely initiative matched, probably isn't ideal.
It's not ideal, but it's also fine.
We're not we're not really art dodging either, though.
Yeah,
so.
like I was accounting for either option with my moves, I felt, so I was okay with that. Like it could screw us both over, and I didn't feel unnecessarily ruined by it a lot.
So my Academy tie does go first, and does a 3 bank to the left, not going for the block.
Yeah.
Trying to sneak up to range 1 of the objective on your board edge. Because I felt if I block 1, yeah, maybe I do, but maybe you jump over him, and then you might just take the opportunity to blat him off the board when, if you get loads of shots into him, you can take 1. If it goes well, you've got shots into other people. I just felt he was better claiming objectives. And he takes a focus.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so on the left-hand side, my inside infiltrator, Mr. Yellow, he goes a 3 straight, because I was trying to essentially line it up so that I either bumped into the tie, or I just jumped over the tie and in front of the Decimator, and the other one does a 1 straight, because I didn't think you could block that guy. The idea being I'm trying to just be annoying to your Decimators and just present firing arcs. The infiltrator in the middle does a 1 bank to the right, basically going further into the middle. And then my final Decimator, and I eyeball this beautifully, I think.
Yes.
I do a 3 straight just past the rock in front of me, and I land millimeters in front of the rock, the next rock, so I am perfectly fine. However...
So my red Decimator 4 straights past your blue and takes target lock. I 3 hard to the left with yellow because I didn't want to take the risk of having a bump fest down there because you can 5k and I can't. And yes, I can shoot out the back, but that means I'm always running away from you, which isn't ideal. So I was trying to sneak into that gap, which you block with green, but it basically means I've art dodged everything except that ship, so he's taking a range 0 at most. And I do take the red focus. And then I do a 3 bank from green, which bumps into red. And he takes the red focus.
Yeah, but unfortunately for me, whilst I may have some random shots, you do have 2 range 1 shots into my already damaged infiltrator.
Yes, I do.
But I shoot first, so I take range 0 into Mr. Yellow, because why not? I don't have any particularly decent shots, and I get 2 hits and a blank.
So 2 hits through, down to 9.
And then my final shot is range 0 into Mr. Green, good old child. I get 1 hit.
So 1 shield off, and you acquire a lock.
I acquire a lock because I'm a malicious pursuer.
So red goes range 1 out the bum into blue. I roll 4 hits out of hand because, Decimators go brrr.
And I roll a blank. So, bam, 3 shields and a hull down.
Yellow goes range 1 out the back into your yellow. I roll blank, hit, focus, focus. I've still got the lock from the previous turn. Spend the lock on the blank, roll it into a hit, and spend the focus for 4.
And I roll an evade, so I take 3, so that's 1 shield and 2 hull.
And then green has a range 1 shot into yellow, still has the lock, and after spending lock and focus has 4 hits.
So I roll a blank, so my infiltrator is dead.
Dang.
And already, I can see the writing on the wall. Like, I'm already too far behind the damage race to realistically catch up.
That bump, or those... Well, yellow's bump was fine, I think. He was always going to shoot a shot. I think green was quite lucky to get the range 1 shot. But then
this one basically told me, like... This is where I was like, okay, the lack of a turret on the infiltrators is actually really hurting.
Yeah,
they can 1 agility, fine. 10 health, fine. Their dial, it's great. If they had a turret, they would actually be really good, but they don't, and it just is. It's what it is.
And then we do.
But we don't give up for just losing 1 ship.
No, we do objectives, and I believe it was just 1 in my favour and 2
yeah,
for
I think
you.
it's just 1 because...
Sorry, no, it's not. It's 2 for me and 2 for you. Because I think Ty had that top one. I've got the bottom one.
And then you have the bottom one.
Yeah.
And I've got the centre and the centre left.
Yeah. So 2-2.
So it's recovery time. And when you're talking about infiltrators, it's slooping time.
So we roll off, and I am first player this turn. And it's bomb time. And I drop a proton out of green, because I figured red's likely to be around there somewhere. And hey, I'll just plink shields, it doesn't need to deal crits.
Yeah, and I drop 6 thermal detonators. Because at this point, I need to just layer them around.
Yeah. I mean, I was expecting. And most of me is like, yeah, Decimators can take it. I've lost... Well, yellow's hurting a bit, but the rest have shields, so... So the Academy tile just does a 3k, stays out the way, stays near that objective, stays out of bomb range. Red does a 2 hard. It's like, yeah, sure, bombs. And rotates his turret. Yellow does a 2 hard and stays where he is because it doesn't clear. That was a small hope of being second player there. Green does a 2 hard and bumps into my own ship, so rolls for damage and takes a shield.
And then I am honestly, at this point, kind of sad that I got second player this time, because I would have liked my infiltrator to be out of the way, and then your Decimator to come actually further into the bombs. Because currently, if I remember correctly, like, your guy who bumped into my infiltrator doesn't take any bombs, then you take like 1 bomb each from the other 2 decis. So my carpet bombing did not work. However, so my far side infiltrator does a 2 sleep through the rock. So I take a damage, which I reduce with ablative plating, and then I roll for another damage, which I take because I don't think I can reduce the second damage. I think it's 1 per rock.
So can you remember what the exact wording is on ablative plating?
It's when you would suffer damage from an obstacle, reduce 1 damage.
Yeah.
So you may prevent 1 damage.
So my assumption is that those damage happen at the same time.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, Iden can get rid of the lot, right?
Yeah.
So it's 1... You roll, but technically you suffer them both at the same time.
Yeah. Before you would suffer damage from an obstacle or from a friendly bomb detonating, you may spend 1 charge. If you do, prevent 1 damage.
Yeah, so that's once per... I mean, maybe you can do it. Maybe it counts as 2.
Yeah, I didn't think it did, though.
I say it's not relevant in this, because I'm pretty sure you spend all your charges, so...
Funnily enough, I don't spend the 2 that honestly can't... They didn't matter at the time, but I don't spend 2, and I probably should have. But I take a crit from on the roll, so I take another damage. Then I do a 2-sloop with my center ship, and I miss the rock quite nicely. And then I do a 5k with
You actually went
my.
over that rock.
What did I go over
Yeah,
that
yeah,
rock?
because you're ablative and you've just rolled another crit there.
Oh yeah, I see. And then I suffer a crit from the proton bomb.
Proton bomb
after the
plates the shield
5k.
off red. Then we go to the thermals, and yeah, one gets green, two get
Oh,
green,
both of them get green.
and I've zipped through this way too fast. But basically,
I think I did like 1 damage in
yeah,
total.
basically, the red patrol leader's down to 1 shield. Yellow didn't take anything, and green didn't take anything. There's probably some strains out there, but hey, it's a Decimator. Who cares about strains? So
your
red.
yellow decimator.
No, this is red.
Shoots at my. This is red. Okay, you've measured yellow.
Oh, sorry, I must have skipped part. Red probably didn't have range then. That was the last one I was looking at. So yeah, this will be yellow going range 3 into red, and rolls hit, crit.
I roll evade blank, so 2 more shields down.
Green only has 1 shot. I think it's range 3, 2 obstructed. I'm guessing.
Range 2 obstructed.
And roll hit, crit.
So I roll 2 evades, so I take a crit. So I send another shield onto my green infiltrator, and then over to my turn. So I just have range 3 into your already damaged patrol leader, so I'll take it. I get hit, crit.
So yeah, I was about to say I've rolled a lot of hit, crit, but yeah, okay. I think both our dice were pretty, or both our reds were pretty nice.
Well, because none of us are rolling greens, basically, like,
yeah,
all the damage is going through.
It's range 3. This guy doesn't have a strain, but he rolls a blank, so hey. And he ends up with 6 health, a hull breach, and a structural damage.
So on to my next one, I have range 2 into that same boy. And I get crit, focus, so 1 crit through.
And that is a damaged engine.
And then I have a choice here. I have range 2 into the damaged patrol leader, and I have range 2 and a target lock into the other one. I think I take the yellow one.
Yeah, and I think that's the right call.
Ooh.
Well, you just re-rolled.
Because at this point,
so I'm guessing you didn't. Because you rolled hit.
Oh no, I think I just said, okay, I can't kill him, so let's just start the train on the other one and play for the fact that next turn the other 2 should get him.
Yeah. So yeah, you end up with hit, crit, which obviously all through. So that is shield, crit, which is a damaged sensor array. And then you reacquire the lock.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, I can't kill the yellow patrol leader, so I'm going to have to start... I'll start the damage train on the other one, and we'll just have to rely on the other 2 ships.
I mean, you say you can't kill it. Hull breach.
3-dice shot with no mods.
Hull breach, all crits. Like...
It'd be tricky.
It'd be tricky, but... But yeah, we do points, and I believe it's 2-2 again.
Yeah, so I'm down 12-5 currently.
But there is a hurting decimator out there, which is 6 points hiding there. So we roll off, and it's back to you as first player.
Yep. So the tie.
Well, I drop a proton bomb.
A bomb.
Because I think a red's got to be coming somewhere that way. And yeah, I just do a 2 bank with the tie. Still keeps him range 1 of the same objective, and he takes a focus.
So I do, with my green infiltrator, a 2 bank straight back through that rock, because I know it fits, because your ship was bumped into me last time.
Yep.
So I clear the stress, take 2 damage from the rock. I reduce 1 of it because of the ablative plating. So I believe this is my last shield gone. Clear the stress, and I think I just take a focus here. Oh no, I still have 1 shield.
No, you still have 1 shield. Yeah, I'd tooped the overlay.
Yeah. Then I 1 bank with my red infiltrator, just aiming towards the sensor. There's going to be a decimator in front of him at some point, and I take a focus. The bomb is whatever at this point. And then I think I get a little unlucky. Is my third infiltrator does a 3 straight over the rock he was sat just in front of. And by the... I dodged that rock previously by the skin of my teeth, and now I have landed on the rock by the skin of my teeth.
Yes.
which was slightly unfortunate. I ablative platinged one of the damage and took another damage.
So he's down to
So
3.
that he's got 3 health left. I think I was a little unfortunate there, but it is what it is. I thought I'd make it.
I'd argue the other one was a little fortunate though, so I think luck-wise,
Yeah, exactly.
You're evening out there.
Like it evens out.
Yeah. My Desi does a 1 bank to the right, which doesn't clear. Remove the stress, but I take a stress focus. Green bumps into the back of yellow, doesn't take a damage. And red does a 2 hard into the jaws of death, and rotates.
You say jaws of death,
and takes a target lock onto green because I think I've got him out the side arc. I mean, I want to kill.
Proton bomb goes off. Yeah.
So it gives crit straight through onto green, which is a fuel leak.
And I lose my last shield on red.
Then you go shooting.
Then I go shooting, and I have range 2 into the tie or range 1 into the Desi, and I take the jamming beam into the Decimator here. My thought being that I just need to survive this turn, and currently the best way to survive this turn, because shooting the basically full health Desi doesn't mean anything, but if I can remove the target lock, maybe you have a bad roll.
Yeah, I completely forgot.
So I roll a 4 dice jamming beam into a Decimator. Thank God I actually get a hit, else I would have been slightly miffed.
Yeah,
I roll 2 hits, so I apply some jams.
So the lock goes.
Then my only other shot is the Infiltrator. So I take the range 1 shot into the hull breached patrol leader this time, and I get hit crit.
So the first hit is a direct hit.
Oh.
It's this one. So the first hit is a direct hit. The hit from a direct hit is a direct hit. The hit from that direct hit is a direct hit. I then flip
that direct hit is a panic pilot.
So that's 4 damage from technically your first hit.
Then we go into the second hit.
Which is a structural damage because it's a.
And finally,
and then I didn't say. I think the last one was a structural again.
No, finally it was a console fire.
It was a console fire. So I think I've got like probably about 20 cards on me. No, I think it's like 4 over, so like 16 cards on me. He is most definitely dead. But he gets to shoot, which is the all important. So that is 6 points for you. So it brings it up to 12-11. I roll the console fire and I take a hit, which is a crit because of the hull breach, which is another hull breach. So, just making sure we get them on there. And then yellow shoots range 1 out the back, I believe, into. Do I do range 1 or do I do range 2?
No, I think
blue?
You do range 0.
No, I think this is range 2 into blue.
Okay.
Although, why would you be rolling a die?
Well, I'd always get a dice.
Oh yeah, because they have 1 dice. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm used to the Decimator. I spend the focus and end up with 2 hits.
I roll an evade, so I take a damage.
Yeah, that was into blue.
Yeah.
I then go with green. And this is a mistake. Little mistake. But I should have shot red first, because red only has 1 shot. Whereas green has the choice of going into range 2 obstructed into the guy with 2 health left, or range 1 into the guy with 1 shield and 6 health. But red's got a range 1 shot into the same guy. So if I'd done red first, I could have seen how that panned out first.
Yeah.
But I end up doing the range 2 obstructed. I roll hit, focus, spend the focus for 3.
I roll focus blank, so my Dark Courier is dead.
So yeah, like luck rode me on that one, but I still think doing it the other way would have been the right way of doing it. Red does that range 1 shot and rolls hit, crit out of hand.
Oh well.
Who needs target locks?
Should have just shot you in the first place. Oh well, and then I roll a blank.
So that puts you down to 3 with something that I don't put on the overlay.
I believe it's panic pilot because I've got a bunch of stress.
Yeah, that'll probably be why I didn't put it on the overlay. And then the TIE Fighter has a shot. Range 2, rolls 2 hits.
I roll a blank, so I take 2 damage onto green. I've got 1 health left on my infiltrator. So, as I'm sure anyone listening to this, the writing's pretty much on the wall. I've already lost. Let's be real here. I cannot stop you from scoring 2 points on objective. And no way in heck do 2 infiltrators facing the wrong way have a chance at killing a decimator.
Yes. Like, I literally just need to score 2 points. It's 18-12 at the moment. Like, realistically, you don't kill either of the decimators.
No. But we play to our outs, and I drop 2 thermal detonators out of the back of green, because I figure someone's going to be there, and you never know, right?
Yeah. I won hard with the tie to try and block. Spoilers for anyone watching. And takes a focus and keeps him as definitely range 1 of the objective on your board edge, and maybe range 1 of the centre one.
So I do a 1 bank to the right of my decimator, and I bump into the tie. I take a red focus, because why not? My other decimator, by the way, I won first player.
Infiltrator.
Infiltrator does a 1 straight and bumps into your green decimator, and I take a red focus. I'm in my own thermals, but I have ablative plating. We'll see if I remember that when it explodes.
I
take a red focus.
I won straight with my decimator, which does not bump. And I take a focus because, damage sensor array and that. And then I 3 hard over the rock with my other decimator. Yeah, he rolls.
Takes 1 damage.
Takes 1. Because that gets him in range of the bottom one, which should net me the win. Probably gets me in range of the centre.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to shoot. Oh yeah, and then because I get an action, because I cleared the rock, I rotate my turret.
So my thermals trigger, and they both of them hit both hit my infiltrator and both hit the deci, and I forget about ablative plating, and I take 2 damage from my own bombs, despite the fact that I have 2 ablative plating charges.
Yes. This is where I
and the deci takes 2 strains.
2 strains. Sure.
So I range 0 into the TIE fighter with my infiltrator, and I roll 3 focuses. Then I range 1 into the decimator, and I roll hit, focus, crit, and I spend my focus for 3 hits and a crit.
Which I take. The crit is a disable power regulator.
No, it's the other one. It's a loose stabilizer.
Oh.
The triggers the fuel leak.
Yeah, because we got the number wrong, didn't we? So it takes a loose stabilizer, but that's fine. I'm pretty sure this is the last turn, and if it isn't, I just want straight towards the center objective.
Yep.
So red does range 2 obstructed into green, I believe. Rolls hit, focus, 5th brothers for a crit.
I roll 2 blanks and die.
And then green range 1's out the back into red for hit, crit.
I roll a focus and die. Now, had I ablatived, I would have lived, probably. But at this point, it was sort of meaningless. So the final score is 32-12.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like, only because I got lucky on the reds on that last turn. Like, yeah.
Yay and nay, but like...
Green dies, but red maybe shouldn't.
Like, maybe. Like, I think, well, no, all red not dying just required me to use my upgrades, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'd ablative my bombs, then red has 2 health at the rest of at the end of that round, and the score is 27-12.
Yeah. Well, no, because I would have scored less objectives as well, because you would have been contesting that bottom one, and you.
I didn't think you had that bottom one.
I thought I did.
Oh, well, anyway, either way.
Because. Hang on, I was on 23. No, that's
so add 10.
No. I was on 18.
Okay.
So 10.
So 23 is when you kill
green.
Yeah.
Then
28.
28 is when I kill both. So I score 4 objectives. So I must be range. Yeah. So that would have been all right. It would have changed it to 27,
26-12.
25. Yeah, 26-12.
Yeah.
No, 26-13 because I think you would have been range 1 of that bottom one.
Possibly, but like the end score is meaningless. Like whether I use the ablative or not, I still lose by like a lot.
So
And so our conclusions, because we have conclusions this
We
round.
do.
So the infiltrators, they could be 5. I mean, I think they'd be more oppressive and annoying on exactly this scenario against lists that don't have 3 other large bases.
Yes. But that's no different than a list we've seen at Club Night that's got 2 U-wings,
Yeah.
a gauntlet, and something else. It's
Yeah, exactly.
3 large bases are a thing, and I don't think 4. There are ways to play around 4. Like I wanted objectives close because I want to do the same thing you want to do. But if you had a whole list of small bases, I try and spread the objectives out more. And
yeah,
yeah, no, I felt the infiltrators actually were kind of fine, to be honest. The debts, that amount of debts is annoying, but I mean, we've got lists that can take 4 lots of debts. It's
yeah. I guess where it comes down to is 10 health behind 1 agility when you can take 4 of them a little bit too efficient. And I guess the same could be said for. I think the same can be said and more for the patrol leaders, right?
yes and no. Sorry, for yours specifically, because
Yeah,
like my list. Okay, it's only got it's got force crew, but I'm still only 3 attacks per turn. Like,
yeah.
all right, we can count
And
the
that's
tie.
that is most lists these days.
Yeah. And I chewed through it. I think realistically, 48 health. All right, it's behind. Hang on, it's 48. It's next to 16 each, 32, 48. But all right, behind no agility, but on a normal game, you're reinforcing more often than not. Let's say it probably, to get through that, takes 12 attacks of more than 1 damage.
Yeah.
Like 4 per decimator. I feel that's a reasonable thing. So that's an extra 12 health effectively.
Yeah.
So that's 60 health you've got to chew through. While you're still being defensive, I suppose.
Yeah,
So you can't,
because
you can't do what I did here and just go all out attack. Because yeah, you'll punch damage through, but then I'll just damage you back. But I think realistically, if they did decide, and I don't think for a moment they will decide to drop them to 6, but if they did, they'd have to make it so you can't have force on all of them.
Yeah. Like,
I think
maybe having like the child on one of them, but not like 7th sister and also 5th brother as
exactly.
like perfectly viable crew.
I think 8 LV.
Yeah, I could see that.
Takes out all of them except the child, but still leaves you options. There are other Imperial crew. There are still interesting things you can do, but you're not having that consistent soft mod.
Yeah.
Yeah. On attack and defense, technically, if you're getting obstructed or a range 3 or a. But
yeah.
I think the overall combination, even without the force crew, would it be OP? Possibly.
I don't think it would be OP, but I think it'd just
very,
very
good.
It'd just be very, very efficient.
Because it does incredibly well on assault. You do I say you do incredibly well on salvage, but I suppose the amount of crit generation you'll pick up.
I mean, you do okay on salvage because your academy pilot can just pick one up and then bez off. And if you ever have one or 2 on randomly on your patrol leaders, that's just points ticking up.
Yeah. But I don't think it does over the odds on salvage, is what I'm saying. It's not like you can stick them on your 3 decies and be like, hey, I've got 3 objectives, you're not getting these back, because the crit generation will make you drop them. Chance, I genuinely think, comes down to turn 0 and your opponent and their skill. Because, alright, it's 3 large bases with a lot of health, but they're still Decimators. You can fly around.
Yeah. You find out, and also, and chance your opponent is actively encouraged to just start focusing, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And eventually they will go down.
And then scramble without
I think you do fine.
without the force crew. I think the having to take an action and then not being able to reinforce.
That's what the BSA is for.
Yeah, but he can only do one, can't he? So
Well, you only have to do one a turn.
Well,
Like
yeah.
if your opponent is not taking actions to get their defense, getting mods, and you're able to just shoot the ship that does that, all you need to do is flip 1 or 2 a turn.
Yeah. But sorry, my flip was I wasn't saying they were bad, and just saying they're not stupid good.
Yeah.
But I still think the health presents a problem.
Yeah, I think the health is hard to balance because it just makes them really grindy, and it's less of a it's really obnoxiously OP. More of it's just like it's just annoying to play against because it's like, oh great,
Yeah.
I've dealt this much damage and he's still flying at full proficiency.
Well, we had it on Club Night. I was
Yeah.
playing against Huge, and he was like, dealing damage. And I'm like, yeah, I've taken 7 damage, and Huge was like, well, he's nearly dead, right? I was like, nah, still got like 5 left.
Yeah.
I think, like, one thing you could do, red reinforce.
Yes, I think red
predictable.
reinforce. Yeah, it does make them predictable. I think that also just outright makes them bad.
Does it?
I think so.
Maybe. But this is all pie in the sky because
This is all pie in the sky, pointless speculation. It's never going to happen. Let's be real.
Do I think AMG will drop the patrol leaders to 6? No. Do I think they might drop the Dark Courier to 5? Maybe.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
And I still, because I don't think 4 of them makes a good list. I think one of them slotting in somewhere as a 5-point ship in a list.
Yeah,
might be all right.
Well, the funny thing is I think straight up at 5 points they're now competing with Grievous, Cad, probably Dirge when he goes up.
What's it like? Because they're 9 health, right?
They're all 7. Dark Courier's 10. Grievous is 7. What? Cad is 7.
No. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Dark Courier's 10 health, is it?
Yeah.
So, sorry, I was talking about the Infiltrators. So if Dark Courier's 10 health, and Grievous is 7 with Impervium, right?
Yeah.
And Solus.
7 with Solus 1, and then obviously that gives him the reroll.
And then obviously Impervium, kind of. So
Impervium sometimes gives him 2.
So 7 with a possible 9.
Yeah.
For a point less.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But hey, we can grumble. It was interesting. It was interesting to just have a look, and it was interesting to easily be able to do it on TTS now, actually, and do that sort of play
just
test.
Try it out. Yeah.
It was fun.
I mean, I think, like I said earlier, like the lack of a turret just makes the Infiltrator bad enough that this sort of thing is, I think, also annoying to play against, but also like not amazing. Which is interesting because there was once upon a time where 3 of these was a good list. But that was back when you could slap Perceptive Co-Pilot and shield upgrades on them.
Yeah, you don't have the LV for that, do you?
Yeah. Oh, not even close. One or t'other.
One or t'other. Well, I think that's us whittering on about what we'd like to see AMG do to make our factions OP. But no, it was an interesting test. We will be back next week with some more regular gaming.
Yes.
I promise no 7 large base ships on the board again.
Challenge accepted.
Well, I won't be bringing any, so good luck getting 7 2-point.
Very well.
But on Sam's mindless, stupidly optimism. I was going to say mindless optimism, but
we can use drivel.
We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next week.
See you next week.